Thank you for tuning in to News 24. We're sitting down with Glynnis Breytenbach, the Shadow Minister of Defence. Defence, that's a complete lie. Justice, the Defence of Justice, shall we say. We've just heard from the NPA's head, Shaun Abrahams, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, that the NPA is dropping charges of fraud and theft against Pravin Gordhan, Ivan Pillay and Oupa Magashule. And of course, Glynnis Breytenbach, you issued a statement on the 30th calling for exactly this to happen, but then also for Abrams to step down. What is your response?
Well, absolutely. Abrams has now done, I suppose you could call it the right thing, by withdrawing the charges, charges that should never have been preferred in the first place. So all he's doing now is trying to stem the bleeding, a little too little and a little too late. And he's the National Director of Public Prosecution. This is a monumental blunder. It's cost people money, it's cost economy huge amounts. In personal price to be paid by Gordhan, Pillay and Magashule is incalculable. He should resign. There's no room in the National Prosecuting Authority for a National Director to make this kind of a blunder.
Why is it such a bad move? Why does it just reek from high heaven?
Well, it's clearly not motivated for the correct reasons from the get-go. The charges were always flimsy, at best. The best thing you can say about them is that they were flimsy. A prosecutor has a very wide discretion. There are many things that you consider before you institute a prosecution. The most important of them is there a case?
What are the facts? And
is there a case to answer? But there are other things that you consider as well. That's not the only thing. Prosecutorial discretion is wide. It should be very carefully exercised, yes, but nevertheless it's a wide discretion. And to charge the sitting Minister of Finance in the current climate with things the way they are, with the shouts of state capture, with the so obvious ways that the President abuses state institutions to go after his political enemies, for none of that to have been considered on these flimsy charges, to institute those charges against the sitting Minister of Finance beggars the imagination.
Now, when Abrams spoke to the issue of the charges being reinstated to begin with, he was at pains to go through the details, the nitty-gritties of the different legislation and why that had informed the decision, and took a really, really long time to get to the point that I think a lot of the public were interested in hearing about. What did you make of all of the different bits and pieces around retirement packages and what the SARS policy is and what civil servants are obliged to do and not do when they retire early?
Are you referring to his conference today?
Yes.
Well, clearly that was just a means of trying to justify the unjustifiable. He knows as well as everybody else knows that these charges should not have been instituted, that he made a monumental blunder by instituting them, and he's looking for a way out. So now the newest developments are an excuse. They found themselves, he painted himself into a corner. I don't think
Did he have any help there? Was there someone else holding a brush to paint along with him?
I think that that Shaun was very adept at painting his own self into the corner. Certainly he's doing it at the behest of other people. He's not his own man, that's very clear. And he has never been. That he holds
in your opinion?
Well, I don't think I'm alone in that view. To be promoted from a senior state advocate to the National Director of Public Prosecutions in the blink of an eye, or the stroke of a pen, is equivalent to moving from, standard 6 to first year at university.
Sure.
Doesn't happen. So he's lacked credibility from the start. He's done nothing to enforce confidence in his ability, and this certainly has eroded any chance he has of ever having any credibility. He should resign.
And there was a journalist at the press conference today who asked exactly that question. Will he resign? He was insistent he wouldn't.
Of course he wouldn't.
He's insistent that he was ill-advised and that there was a team of people who answered to him and came to him with the information, and that he doesn't have, a blank slate to make decisions at his own whim.
I see. That's an odd interpretation. But nevertheless, if he was so ill-advised, by, I presume, the special or the acting special director, Turi Pretorius, who has 30 years plus prosecuting experience, has a doctorate in law, and has SC status. I'm not so sure that Pretorius would agree that he gave him bad advice. He must have consulted with the Director of Public Prosecutions in that area. Sibongile Mznyati. He himself is a career prosecutor. He's a director of public prosecutions. So what's going to happen to the two of them then for this monumentally bad advice they gave? Is any action going to be taken against them for the damage they've caused? But Abrams is not telling the truth because it simply can't happen in the NPA. That a decision like this to prosecute the sitting finance minister on charges of fraud and theft would ever have been taken purely based on the say-so of two of his underlings. And if that's true,
that's very worrying.
Then that's extremely worrying because it's incumbent on the national director when you encounter this type of matter before you have a Hollywood-style press conference announcing the charges, and as you speak, the rand plummets to not make sure that there's some sort of merit in the charges.
The rand plummeted during that press conference earlier in October, and now today some buoyancy, some sort of strengthening and heartening of the rand. But it does beg the question, what happens now? In the earlier press conference, Abrams said that the NPA was still looking into the question of the so-called spy unit at SARS. This case is, a dead duck now.
Well,
but
very much so.
do we kind of step back and assume that the NPA is kind of, done with Praveen Gordhan and any sorts of cases against him, or should we be on the lookout for further trouble?
I certainly wouldn't put it past them to carry on delving into that matter. Where it will take them, one doesn't know. They might be well advised, however, before attempting another Hollywood-style production to make quite certain of their facts and to make sure that they have perused all the available evidence, and with the emphasis on available, because the evidence in this matter was also available, they just didn't look at it.
And there comes in the question of Symingtons' report, the legal advice that he gave. For us lay people who don't know the kind of details of how the NPA works, its consultation with the Hawks and all the rest of it, what was it that Symington did, and why was the Hawks after that information?
Well, Symington, as I understand it, I haven't seen the document, but as I understand it, Symington wrote a legal opinion in 2009 regarding the early retirement of Pillay, which found nothing wrong with it. And that is the advice that was acted upon. That was available. It's been part of civil court documentation for more than 10 years. If a proper, thorough, well-directed, honest investigation had been done with integrity, they would have found that.
So that we might not have gotten to this point if
Absolutely.
You're arguing the admin around it had been better to begin with.
If the investigation had been done honestly, with integrity, with thoroughness that's required of an investigation of this nature, for charges of this nature against the sitting Minister of Finance, with all that implies, then certainly they would have found their document. So, to now suggest that having discovered this new information, it's okay to that's just not okay. The fact of the matter is shoddy work from the beginning. And the reason it was shoddy work was because it was an undignified haste to institute this prosecution for reasons other than should support a prosecution.
Now, you as a member of an opposition party that's outspoken in its critique of Shaun Abrams, the NPA, and then, the administration responsible for what some accuse it of, which is state capture, what then is your overall take? Are you going to pull back on the protest plan for the 2nd of November?
Well, that will certainly depend on Musi Mamani. It's his call, not mine. I presume that the action will go ahead. We certainly intend to call for a parliamentary inquiry into the fitness of Abrams to hold office now, if he doesn't resign.
Which it looks like he won't, from what he said in the
assuming
conference.
that he belatedly discovers some measure of honour or whatever, then he will resign.
Maybe he'll find a document from 10 years ago that
perhaps, yes.
someone hadn't given to him before.
Perhaps, and he can change his mind. He's known to do that. He's known to change his mind and also to blame everybody else for his mistakes. So, because this isn't the first time he's blamed other people. He blamed the deputy director in the Specialised Commercial Crime Unit for deciding to withdraw the charges against Jiba. So it's never him. What he does, one doesn't know, because it appears that all the work is done by other people.
That is what some people call salt, when you throw shade on someone like that.
There we go. But we'll certainly be calling for an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. And I presume the march will go ahead. because there are so many issues that one can drive that. But certainly, I see no reason for the march to not go ahead. Yeah.
If someone were to take sort of leadership in this situation and take control of what's happened now with the NPA and this dud case against Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan and his co-accused, who would be responsible for saying to Abrams in a hypothetical situation, actually you've made a really poor call here, clearly there are problems with the integrity and the processes within the NPA, you need to go?
Well, the president appointed him, the president can fire him.
Okay.
He had no difficulty getting rid of him, deleting Kosana when he didn't like him anymore. So I presume that there would be nothing stopping him from firing Abrams, except why would one fire Santa's willing little helper?
Well, that's a rhetorical question I'm not going to answer, but it wouldn't be fair for me to have you here for an interview if I didn't ask you about your own battles with the NPA and also an incident in a parliamentary committee where Abrams tried to have you shunted out the door.
My own battles with the NPA are largely irrelevant. The one thing has nothing to do with the other. It certainly doesn't colour my judgment. I've spent 26 years in the criminal justice system. I'd like to believe that I've learned to be objective. I certainly think I am.
Not easy to be objective.
It's reasonably easy to be objective after that amount of time. My own case is something that I can't discuss because it's in court. It's sub judice, but let me just say that I'm not terribly concerned.
Does today give you more kind of
Not at all. No, not at all. I have complete faith in the criminal justice system, and I'm very happy to subject myself to the process of the criminal justice system. But it doesn't colour my judgment in viewing the NPA, and certainly not in viewing Abrams. And understand that while the DA is outspoken about the National Prosecuting Authority, we outspoken about the way it's being used and abused.
Not its existence.
The DA is a big supporter of the National Prosecuting Authority, and nobody would like more than us to see it function optimally the way it's supposed to.
Except maybe Shaun Abrams. If you take him at his word today, he said, he's never been prouder of the NPA. He's very happy to be speaking to the public today and conveying their decision and their sound thinking and applying their mind. So that is one area where you and Shaun Abrams of the NPA agree.
When he says he's proud of the NPA and the sound thinking and applying of its mind, he's talking about himself, of course.
I suppose, yeah.
Because it's his sound thinking and his mind that was applied that he was referring to in this particular instance. Again, I say a little too little and a little too late, at the very least. That's the kindest way to put it. And as for Abrams' attempt to have me thrown out of the committee, well, that was nothing more than very boorish childishness. A, he doesn't have the authority. B, he reports to that committee, not the other way around. C, he was not there as a guest. He's there to do a job that he's enjoined by legislation to do. And again, it points to his lack of objectivity, his insecurity. If he was afraid to have me present to ask him questions, well then, that just underscores what my view of him already is.
Well, with that, we're going to have to look and see what happens about the march. From what I've heard, the organisers certainly plan to stick on and go ahead.
No reason not to.
Yeah. And I believe that Musi Maimane of the DA will be issuing comment and statement on this morning's announcement too. Yes,
Musi will be dealing with the communication after this. He was just busy with another matter, and I'm sure that he will have plenty to say about this particular issue.
I think a lot of us have plenty to say about this issue at the moment. Glynnis Breytenbach of the DA in with us this morning to comment and remark really on what happened with the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shaun Abrahams, this morning, doing a complete U-turn on a previous statement that he was insistent they would charge ahead with the allegations of fraud and theft against Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan, Ivan Pillay and Oupa Magashule. And for more on the story, you can go to our website for full analysis and reaction. Glynnis, thank you for your time.
Thank you.